Good morning and welcome again to Summit. It's a beautiful Monday morning and we're really glad to be back at work today. My name is Jumoke Michaels. You're welcome. Banji, good to be here.
Yeah, Jumoke, good to be here, doing what we know how to do best. Let me congratulate Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, that's INEC chairman. He's starting his second term today, Jumoke. Now to take him to 2025. So he will be the one to conduct the 2023 general elections for us. So I wish you the very best, Professor Yakub Mahmoud, as you take your second, the second part of the journey, that's delivering the best of elections to Nigerians. Talking about elections, Jumoke, I think it's time we congratulate the President-elect, the United States of America, Joe Biden, who actually emerged victorious in the last elections. Of course, there are issues, but as we speak, he is the president-elect.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Yeah, because on Wednesday we were still discussing on that, and then
that's our topic.
By Saturday the result was released, and he became the president-elect. We'll say congratulations to him. Today on the program we'll be beaming our searchlight on Ogun State. We're going to Ogun State and we'll be looking at different issues in that state. And you also have the opportunity to send us an SMS to share your thoughts or ask your questions regarding issues in Ogun State. Please, not Lagos State, Ogun State. All right, so you can be part of the program by sending an SMS to the number we'll display on the screen as we continue with the program. And joining us today, we have the honor to have Honorable Remi Azan, the Special Advisor to the Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State, on media and communications. Good morning, sir.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you again.
It's good to have you here. As a matter of you are no longer a guest, you are a partner on the program. That's why it's...
I barely survived the traffic again this morning. But thank God I'm here.
Oh.
That route is just something else.
So we start this way, sir. This particular year has witnessed so many hiccups. Outstanding among them, the pandemic, and then just leaving pandemic. We don't know whether we have left, but we are on our way exit route. The End SARS protests came in almost from nowhere, and the nation was at ground. Let's start with the End SARS, which is the issue of the moment. I'm aware that after the issue of Lekki shootings and all that, a lot of states have actually established judicial panels, and those judicial panels have started sitting, have started sitting, and the revelations issues are actually coming on the human rights abuses in various states of federation. Let's take it from the End SARS. How was it in Ogun State? How devastating was it? In Lagos State, we couldn't have had it worse. It was the worst experience we can see. First, vandalizations and all that. In Ogun State, can you capture the way it was, and then how you are, the post-End SARS, how you are handling it?
Thank you very much, Mr. Busari, and thank you once again. The truth of the matter is that Lagos is the epicenter of both the pandemic and the End SARS protest. You can't possibly connect any part of Nigeria without passing through Ogun State. So we are like the neighbor that Lagos can't possibly do without. So whenever Lagos sneezes, Ogun State most likely will catch cold. So when it began in Lagos, that it happened also in Ogun State, more like an aftershock to an earthquake, wasn't a surprise. For us, what the issues were the things we quickly looked at as a state. What really are the issues? I think at that time it was 5 for 5, that the gladiators behind the protest were asking for police reform, better working conditions for policemen, justice for those who have been brutalized, and all sorts. And so when that was at least available to us, the governor in his wisdom took the bull by the horn. He was one of those who contacted the villa on the need to act fast on these issues. Of course, Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos did not do anything less than that. And Abuja immediately responded by pronouncing the end of SARS. But it was looking like the pronouncement that came initially from the police IG wasn't going to do it. The president had to come again to give a teeth to the pronouncement by making a broadcast by himself, announcing that SARS indeed has ended. At that level, it is no longer what will give a room for anybody to cut corners, because part of the complaint was that SARS before now had been banned 3 or 4 times, and it kept resurrecting like Lazarus. So when that was done, we thought other issues would proceed to the table of dialogue, but it was looking like it wasn't going to subside. For us in Ogun State, there were no noticeable vandalization of property. However, the fact that people who wanted to go about their lawful businesses were not allowed because roads were blocked, and a lot of disturbance into free movement was also beginning to raise security concern. That now made the governor to up the game a lot more by opening the door for more engagement. A few days into the week of major impact on that demonstration, the protesters visited the governor's office, and they still laid bare their complaints, and the governor personally addressed them, asking them to maintain peace, to be orderly, and all of that. I think it was the incidents at Lekki that actually greenlighted the need for us to do a lot more, because we can't possibly be immune completely from whatever it is that happened in Lagos. Of course, engagement continued, not just with the youth, with traditional rulers, with community leaders, and what have you. And at the end of the day, we want to appreciate God that it didn't go as many would have wanted it to go in terms of negativity. And today, I can boldly see that peace has returned to Ogun State.
I asked about the judicial panel. The experience in Lagos was that the youth were not going to be part of it until they were persuaded to actually join that. In Ogun State, are they actually taking up, or what's happening as far as?
The panel has been established even while the crisis was on. It was inaugurated about 2 weeks ago, if not more. I can't remember the date now. And on Thursday, the inaugural sitting held. As of that date, I'm aware that about 40 petitions have been received, and a lot more is still being expected because the window to submit petitions is continuous. One of the things that we did as a state government is to say, do not wait till the entire proceedings is over. Bring in interim reports so that those ones can be attended to. And if there are still other ones that are pending, you can continue with that so that we begin to solve these problems going forward. So the panel has taken off in Ogun State, and the participation that we have seen so far shows that it is really something that is welcomed by all and sundry.
Including the youth.
Including the youth. But some of the people that are coming to complain that they've been brutalized are youth.
I mean the composition of the panel.
Of course, in Ogun State, the panel has a retired judge as the chairman. You have a retired DIG of police as part of the members. The human rights community has, that's the National Human Rights Commission now, their office in Abeokuta, a representative from that office is there. Someone representing the youth body, the National Youth Council of Nigeria, the Ogun State chairman, is also there. You have somebody representing the civil society organization, they're also there. But I think at this point, there are about 8. 2 people have called that their associations or interests will be better represented if they are part of the panel. And I said there is nothing wrong with that. Make your request formal, and the government will look into it. If that request has gotten to the office of the Secretary to Government, I'm sure attention will be paid to it accordingly. But
who are these people?
They are the people who claim to be they play advocacy for women, mostly. I can't remember the names they call themselves. They are into women advocacy, really. And they feel that whenever any case involves a woman, it is better that someone with that gender bias is also there to appreciate really what that person has gone through. And I said, well, what you are saying is not wrong, but please make it formal, because I don't know who is speaking with me on phone. Make it formal, and I'm sure that as a government, we will look into it. If there is need for that kind of inclusion, this is a government of inclusion, we will do the needful, and the panel can indeed be broadened a lot more.
Okay, let's look at the issue also of post-COVID. Things seem to have returned to the status quo. People seem to be living their lives without the reality that COVID is still there. It's still there because even though the numbers are few coming up from the states, it's still there. Now, what is Ogun State actually doing to still further curtail the spread of COVID? Looking at the fact that people are no longer showing interest in the preventive measures or aligning to them. What are they doing? And then also the health sector in the state. What else has been done after the post-COVID to improve on that health sector?
If you've been following the conversation in Ogun State, you will remember that we have always been crying that the most major challenge in combating this pandemic has been the compliance level of our people to really ensure that the spread is cut to the barest minimum. And that is why the advocacy rate was a lot higher. And it was beginning to look like, yes, everybody is now appreciating the new normal, until the NSAS protest came. And it's like it opened the door to throw caution to the wind. You find that in a gathering of hundreds of protesters, you begin to see less than 20% of the protesters.
But even during the elections at Ondo and Edo, people feel caution to do.
That's a separate case entirely. Those are isolated cases of state. The NSAS thing was almost like national. And that wasn't controlled. At the level of various parties who were into elections, they were still trying to do some bit of leading by example. That's why you see the gladiators in each of the parties coming up to show that the pandemic is still here with us, wearing masks and what have you. But at the level of protesters, we didn't see that kind of caution. And if you look at the global community where we are, we can't be immune from it. Everybody's talking about the second wave now, to the point where a nation like the United Kingdom, and most of the nations in Europe, are beginning to go into another lockdown again. What will trigger the second wave in Nigeria, if at all, will be the NSAS protest, because while that protest lasted, caution was thrown a lot into the wind. But the message is simple. The pandemic is still very much here with us. Wear your mask. That is the surest protection that we have at this time. Social distancing is beginning to look like belonging to yesteryears. But no, please practice it as much as practicable so that you can protect yourself. We are still doing this in Ogun State. Even in government circles, most of our offices, you can't go in without having a mask on. We're not deluded by the fact that the case count in Nigeria is low. No, that only means that we haven't probably tested enough. And of course, you know that the test too doesn't come cheap. But the message is clear. The pandemic is still very much here, and we need to practice every hygiene message that is being passed to us so that we can protect ourselves. And that's what we're doing in Ogun State.
Okay, still talk about the pandemic. I know the pandemic actually gave rise to the issue of palliatives and all that. The EndSARS protest actually brought out certain realities, the level of poverty in this country, or would you call it greed, whatever it is. In Ogun State, what was your experience as far as looting of government palliatives meant for? What was your experience like? Governors have come out to say it was not holding. In your own case, what was the case?
Let me make some bit of clarification, because if what goes out there in terms of what triggers the conversation is not fact-checked and put in proper perspective, you will see that people will latch on what is a lie and begin to use it as a basis for perpetrating crime. Palliatives are in different forms. There are the ones that the state government funded. Each state has its own spending that went into providing palliatives while lockdown lasted. And the reason was because you can't lock people down and expect them to remain in hunger. Some of them live on subsistence income, on daily income. And that was the rationale behind providing those palliatives. Now, in Ogun State, we did about 3 or 4 tranches of that. But when it began to look like there's no way government can sustain that, we began to do what is called easing the lockdown gradually. That's when we began to have 3 days in a week that people can go about and fend for themselves. Now, the coalition against COVID, which is the larger committee at the national level that was assisting to ensure that this COVID thing is combated, also decided to go into providing for palliative. Now, when those palliatives were to be provided for, if they had gone straight to buy them off the manufacturers as the money was available with them, it will have led to uncontrollable inflation. So what they did was to approach the manufacturers and make sure that each of the manufacturers produce those things in such a tranche that will not affect the normal supply chain into the market. Now, when the supply level for each state or geopolitical zone is complete, they deliver to the zones for onward distribution to the people. The one for us in Ogun State, we got it late September. So what some people have out there is that it's been there since May. What was there in May was the one that the state provided, which we were sharing in tranches. And I'm sure by the end of June, that stock was almost exhausted. So the one that came from Coalition Against COVID, which is the one called CACOVID, is the one that came in September, late September. And every state now has to draw up a plan to distribute it, and it will be supervised by CACOVID, just to be sure that it gets to those who actually needed it. So each state provided a storage facility where such things are stored, while the modalities for sharing was drawn. But believe it or not, sharing palliative comes with its own logistical nightmare. For us in Ogun State, as at the time the attack on warehouses began all over the nation, we had done 9 out of our 20 local government. As at when they began to complain.
That's about 45%.
Almost 50%. Now, when the issue of attack on warehouses came to us, it simply meant that we had to step up the arrangements to ensure that the remaining were shared. And as of today, we have completed it 100%. There was no record of any attack on any of our warehouses in Ogun State because nothing was being hoarded. Those that were in the warehouses were awaiting distribution to local government. And of course,
you must have been lucky in Ogun State.
That's because, to a large extent,
because the remaining 55% could have been looted.
it is not impossible. But the kind of administration we run is such that it's not disconnected from the populace. So information available at the public space is such that will make anybody have a rethink. Am I justified, or I just want to be a criminal?
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so let's go to one of the burning issues we think is still ongoing in Ogun State, which is the issue of the local government elections, which people have been saying that it's been manned by caretaker or transition committees presently, which in some quarters they say is unconstitutional. Could you give us update on that local government elections?
Now, I was in the State House of Assembly for 2 terms, and I'm aware of the local government law. The Constitution vests the power to enact any law that will regulate the control and administration of local government in the State House of Assembly. And the local government law, as it is presently drafted in Ogun State, allows for transition committee. So I need to first completely take that off, that it is unconstitutional. But the ideal thing is to have a democratically elected council. Now, what we met when we came was that the tenure of those who are there was ending. And by the time it ended was when the economic reality in the state was not completely supportive of going into any local government election, especially because there are a lot of other issues that needed to be trashed. So since the local government law allows for constitution of a transition committee, that was put in place. Now, the next thing for us to do, of course, is to constitute the State Independent Electoral Commission, which any moment from now, the governor will be sending the names of nominees in that commission to the House of Assembly. It is that commission that will issue notice of election. And the governor has never shied away from letting the people know that he is committed to ensuring that the free and fair local government election holds in Ogun State. He still mentioned that just last week here. So we, as a state, are committed to ensuring that local government election holds. However, we cannot leave that level of government in vacuum, such that nobody is manning them. And that's why you have the transition committee in place. It's possible for the governor to look the other way and not go by the law, because every 3 months, because for a maximum of 3 months, 90 days, that you can have the transition committee. If you need the extension, you must return to the House of Assembly to grant that extension. And each time their tenure expires, the governor has not failed to return to the House to ensure that it is backed by law. We haven't done anything outside the scope of the parliamentary enactment that administers the local government.
All right, there's still so much to talk about on Ogun State, but we'd like to take a commercial break. We'll be back after then to continue the program.
Are you looking out to becoming a land and property owner? Yes! Well, juicy and extravagant opportunities are bound for you with Boundless Multi-Services Solutions Nigeria Limited, Boundless Court, Ibejuleki and Ekpe, Boundless Court, Ayobo, Boundless Haven, Agbara, Agbowa, Ikorodu, Ibafo, Mowe, Shimawa, Boundless Garden, Shagamu, Boundless Estate, Itori, Ewekoro, Atota, Ota, Abeokuta and Ibadan, and much more. Enjoy flexible payment plan, individual survey, deed of assignment, instant allocation, and no omonile wahala. Office address is number 98 Akonwaja Road, Vulcanizer Bus Stop, beside Bola Tinubu Primary Healthcare Center, Egbeda, Lagos. Reach us on telephone 0703-134-4042 or 0706-445-7284. Boundless Multi-Services Solution Nigeria Limited. Boundless, unlimited in opportunities.
All right, the program is still Summit. You're welcome back. We still have in the studio Honorable Remi Hassan, the Special Advisor to the Governor of Ogun State on Media and Communications. All right,
yes, the last appearance on this program, I remember we discussed the efforts of Prince Dr. Akpabio on infrastructure. Particularly, you mentioned the fact that you were supposed to be at the groundbreaking ceremony of the Jebu Odeepe.
That was in March.
That was in March.
Yeah.
With that, we'd like to capture the level of progress and development so far. What percentage of the road has actually been constructed? And then critically, there are some other areas of the state that are equally begging for serious attention. The Lusada Aton Road, people who were, some of them that I know, say, oh, they were going to block the road, and the first doctor, this doctor, that were able to visit the place to see the accidents on the road and so many. And the same for if Lagos here, that's remind me, Mowe, the one that's even close to us here, Magboro, Bega area, that's Ojodu, Bega and all that. What's particularly the abandoned ones, what's the government of Prince doing at the moment to actually reach and then fulfill the electoral promises he made?
Thank you very much. The infrastructural stride of the administration of Prince Akpabio has actually been momentarily slowed down by the COVID-19 pandemic, but notwithstanding, we refuse to give up. When I was there in March and mentioned the issue of the Ekpe-Ijebu road, the development on that road now has even gone beyond what we were saying then. Then it was groundbreaking. Today, I think it's close to about 45% completion. All the box culverts that will take drainage off any adverse effect on the road have been completed, about 14 of them. And the asphalting of some sections have been done. And we still are continuing. It's actually those construction of the box culverts that slowed down the pace of work, because you must get that right. If not, you are exposing the road to damage. That road opens up to the Benin-Shagamu Express. Now, initially, we just wanted to have what looks like a normal junction that you could just move on the way you like, but that is going to be injurious. That a major highway, another major highway too, dual carriageway, is opening onto it. You're going to have some bit of confusion at that junction. So in the last ESCO meeting, one of the things approved for that road at that junction was an interchange. And that too is going to cost a lot of money, because the road from Ekpe continues to Ijebu. And it simply now means that those coming from Ekpe who are going to Ijebu don't have to wait for vehicles coming to or fro Benin before crossing the road. They will just go with a flyover and all of that. That is to tell you how we are taking that road very, very serious. Now, after that time that I was here to talk about the groundbreaking ceremony, we have also awarded the Shagamu Interchange Abeokuta Dual Carriageway. That road was failing, and it has failed to the point where it's becoming largely impassable. And my understanding of construction is that when you weigh your initial capital outlay vis-a-vis your maintenance cost, and you see that it is no longer financially advisable, you change strategy. What was going into that road in terms of maintenance was becoming unbearable. So it was better that we do an outright reconstruction. But reconstructing it may not mean that we remove everything. So milling, which is an approach that has to do with removing the top asphalt and relay the asphalt for portions that are not particularly filled, but the asphalt surface is bad. Then those portions that are completely bad, you remove everything up to the stone base and rebase it before you re-asphalt. As of today, that road is going to up to about 45% completion. We're changing the median from growing grass to concrete, and it's going to be complete also with street light. It's going to be one of the longest dual carriageway in this country constructed by any state government. And it tells you of the beauty to behold when you get to Abeokuta, starting from the Shagamu interchange. That has been awarded, the construction has reached about 40-45%. The initial asphalt lane has reached Abeokuta for one lane. That means they're going to start the second lane now and construct all the way to Shagamu again, notwithstanding the COVID-19 pandemic. That tells you that Ogun State has been working. Apart from that, all of the roads that the last administration left uncompleted, we're back to site. And the reason why we have to go back to site is simple. Money spent on those projects belong to the state government. It's nobody's personal money. Refusing to continue with those projects means that we have also joined to waste Ogun State's money. So we're back to site on almost all of them.
Which are those sites, sir?
The ones that we have come back to site on, you have the Lafenwa Randa Road, which is still continuing to Ayeju Road. The Owode Ilaro Road, we're back to site. The Ejiri Road in Ijebode, we're back to site on that one. As a matter of fact, the contractor has gone so far that he may even finish earlier than we expect, which is before the end of the year. That one is also there. And for the Songo Ojodu Road, what we have done is palliative, just to make some portions passable. However, we are in talks with the contractor because sometimes some contracts need to be renegotiated, just so that you will be able to convince yourself that you can fly with the cost implication that is coming to you. If you want to fly with the old cost, it may not be realistic based on the current economic realities of the state. So if there is anyone we haven't returned to site, it is because the discussion with the various contractors are still ongoing. And once we tidy up, those ones also will be back to site. For the Aton Lusada that you mentioned, we have challenged with some of our roads in Ogun State. They are federal roads. And federal roads, before now, you could construct and get refunded. But this government has made it clear in this new tenure that if any state government puts its money on any federal road, federal government will not refund such money. So the discussion has to be right in ensuring that we go into such road. Part of the discussion is, federal government, since you are not there to maintain this road, it's in our state. Those who use it are our citizens. Hand these roads over to us so that we take full responsibility. It's no longer going to be a federal road, but even that too is meeting with some bureaucratic bottleneck. However, I think the last time the governor of Lagos State and that of Ogun State met with the president on the Lagos Songo Abeokuta road, some progress is being made in terms of handing over that road to the two states to handle. If we have all this go ahead, discussing with private sector partners in terms of using PPP approach to get these roads done will be very, very easy. But you can't assume ownership of someone else's property unless and until the discussions are tidied up. So those are the challenges.
The Agbara axis fall into the federal road?
They are all on federal road. All of them. Majority of
Is it
the
the
roads.
same for Ikorodu, Shagamu?
As a matter of fact, the major challenge with that one, yes, it's a federal road, is that there's an ongoing contract on the road. Yes, which is very slow. The pace of construction is very, very slow. And they are saying that that particular ongoing contract is what is delaying handing it over for us to take it over. But of course, our people are going through the pain of passing that road. If you go there now to do anything,
great pace,
serious
pace.
Sometimes we take our own personal vehicles to go through some of these roads just to assess the situation real time.
Great pace.
Someone is asking a question here.
What's the name of the person, please?
Oh, sorry, you didn't put his name.
You should always please endeavor to put your name and your location. It's key. The message is not complete without your name and your location.
So he's asking, he said, what's our able governor of Ogun State doing about Lafenwa Itele Road leading to Lagos State? He said Governor Ambode has done that of Lagos State. He said, please help us there.
Lafenwa Itele.
That's the border town. That's your boy area.
Yes, I understand.
Yobo.
Priority is given by this administration to roads that link Lagos and Ogun State and Lagos and Oyo State, especially if there are communities at the border areas. And those kind of roads abound, especially in the Songo, Adodo, the local government area axis. And some of the roads that we have completed under this administration are in that axis.
I am aware of some of them, but the ones she mentioned, I'm equally aware. I don't know why that road.
Now, let me mention something here. One of the things that we did as a government to ensure that development is evenly spread is to ask political gladiators and community leaders to agree on 3 critical routes in each local government that this government should take up. And every local government has sent in their 3 roads. And what this administration is saying is that those 3 across all the local government will be attended to in this tenure.
Before you expand.
Exactly. So that way you will have been able to reach out to everybody, because the way it is coming, some axes may get attention more than others if we don't pay attention to ensuring that we reach out to everybody as much as we can under the circumstances that we have found ourselves.
All right, let's talk about, I think before we go, we need to talk about the budget, the 2020 budget of Ogun State. I know it's been a very challenging year, and especially after the NSAS, where other state governments are coming up with different interventions for the youth. Maybe you can help.
Yes. I mean, a lot of governors, some of our governors have actually come out to say errors have been made in the past, that the youth were actually not properly involved in governance. That there's going to be changes. I mean, there's going to be an amendment to all that. Now, in Ogun State, what's your focus? But regarding the issue of finance, I know COVID-19 and the rest have made nonsense of your initial budget for this year. How much would you still be able to accomplish before the end of the year? I mean, putting into focus the involvement of the youth to their level of. We're aware that your governor, Governor Abiodun, is passionate about youth. Lekon won the VP Niger contest, and the governor gave him 5 million. Although there's a lot of uproar after that, but the governor, it must have been born out of governor's compassion for the youth. What's the governor's focus as far as the youth is concerned?
Thank you very much. Our focus on the youth is quite high. The governor is a lover of youth, and every youth initiative in the state, he has given every dint of support that is required. Arising from this NSAS protest, 5,000 youths in Ogun State to benefit from an empowerment initiative that the government is putting in place. That's at 250 per local government. And that is just like a starter for, as a response to the agitations that came with the NSAS protest. But even before then, there have been so many initiatives that were youth-focused. If you check our agricultural revolution the Anchor Borrowers Program and what have you, 75 to 80% beneficiaries are the youth. And a lot of them, by the time the harvesting season for some of the kind of crops that they went into come, will be raising quite a lot of millionaires amongst them. That is just because we believe that the tomorrow of the state is not assured if the present crop of youth are not sufficiently positioned to take charge when the time comes for whatever succession plan that we have as a government. Our skill acquisition arrangement through the State ICT Bureau, that's the Bureau of Information and Communication Technology, is also youth focused. And we're looking at that as a potential Silicon Valley that will make youth who own laptop just so that they can perpetrate cybercrime to now begin to own laptop so that they can begin to develop software that will produce the millions that they are looking for from people's hard-earned money that they are using, trickish approach.
Allegedly using.
Yes. No, there are those who are into it, whether we like it or not. We're not making a blanket accusation to all the youth. Whether we like it or not, there are still responsible youth in this country. And there are those whose stock in trade is to believe that they can't do better in life except they perpetrate cybercrime. So I'm not talking in terms of every youth being criminally minded. No, there are still good youth, and they are bound in Ogun State so much. So all our programs that are youth focused are with the target that they will be able to successfully hold their own, come what may, with the kind of initiatives that we have as a government.
Well, the 87.3 million naira agri intervention fund, is it directed at the youth also, or how is it supposed to profit the people of Ogun State?
Not just that particular intervention, all interventions we have, especially at the agri sector and the ICT sector, they've been like 75, 80, 85% youth. But one of the things we did is to ensure that you don't get the cash directly. We lay it there, how you go about getting it. And once you throw yourself in, then the money will go into the process that will get you well established. So it is youth focused as well.
You were quoted as saying that Ogun State will soon launch an industrial park recently.
Yes.
Yeah. What benefit would that be to Ogun State?
Now, I don't know how much time we have left, but I'll break it down this way. Now, look at Lagos. Lagos is the commercial capital of Nigeria. The Apapa port and the Tinkan Island port carries out about 90% of port-related activities in this country. And you have articulated vehicles moving in and out of that port, passing through this only route, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And the road is congested. It is not because the number of vehicles in Nigeria have increased drastically. No, it is because alternative routes are limited. And what we have done with the Ijebu-Ode-Epe road is to create another avenue through which haulage of goods can happen. And when you have that kind of routes created, the virgin land in that area shouldn't also be wasted, because access is a major indicator of value. Once you have provided access, those land there no longer have the same latent value they used to have. They now have actual value. So in taking possession of that actual value, what we're doing is to have a lot of development that will make us a beneficiary of all those commercial activities going on in Lagos State. So an industrial park along the Ijebu-Ode-Epe road is also being contemplated so that we can take advantage. Dangote Refinery is there. There may be no traffic arrangement that will help to allow all those tankers to go in there. If we create a trailer park along that axis, only tankers that will have reasons to load will go in there, and we will be able to grab our own share of the loot.
That's a brilliant.
That's good thinking.
Business thinking.
That's business thinking.
All right, thank you so much, sir.
Really, we have a backlog of issues. We
Yeah.
can't really exhaust them today.
Thank you so much
It's good
for
to
coming.
have you here. Very soon. I think you have to come back because health, education,
Yeah, we
and
have
so
not
many
even
other
gone
areas
to so
were
many.
not discussed
Yeah.
today.
All right, thank you, sir. All right. And that's our program today. My name is Jumoke Michaels. See you again on Wednesday. Bye-bye.